Imagine a weak, loser-type guy who, just to survive in prison, trains so hard that he turns into a tough, unbreakable man. That's exactly what happens in today's story. At the beginning, we see a man named Stan Minton. He is a crooked property dealer. He has loads of money and a beautiful wife who loves him a lot. Stan often fooled people by selling cheap land at high prices. By tricking others like this, he slowly became very rich. But one day, he got caught by the police in a fraud case. He was taken to court, and the judge sentenced him to 3 years in prison. To avoid going to jail, Stan asked his lawyer to bribe the judge. But since there was a lot of evidence against him, even the judge couldn't help much. Instead, the judge gave Stan 6 months to wrap up all his pending matters. After that, he would have to go to prison. The lawyer advised Stan to take all his money and escape to another country. But the problem was, the bank had frozen all of Stan's money. So now, he had no choice but to spend those 6 months waiting. One day, his wife Mandy said that she wanted to have a baby so she wouldn't feel lonely after Stan went to jail. But Stan didn't like kids at all. He said, "What's the point? When I come back, where will we throw it? A baby is permanent, you're stuck with it." Hearing this, Mandy got angry and stormed out of the hotel. Stan, annoyed, went out drinking. There, he saw a man with a prison tattoo. Curious to know more about life in jail, Stan gave the man $100 to tell him everything. The man told him that the prison guards don't care about anything. Looking at Stan's weak and delicate body, he said, "Where do you think you're going? In jail, they'll mess with you and no one will come to save you." He advised Stan to at least look dangerous by getting some scary tattoos on his body. Hearing this, Stan proudly said, "I already have a tattoo. Look." But it turned out to be a tattoo of his mom. The man then told him, "If you really want to stay safe in prison, on the very first day, find the toughest inmate there and take him down. That way, you'll gain respect and no one would even dare to come near him." But with his short and weak body, how could he possibly pull that off? Only God knew. The next morning, when he woke up, he was feeling really happy, thinking it had all just been a bad dream. But then reality hit. He was reminded, "You do have to go to jail." Mandy encouraged him to stay strong, and after that, Stan made a firm decision. In the next 6 months, he would become tough. From that day on, he started training every single day. He even got several tattoos and began learning martial arts. But soon, he got bored. Mandy thought, "There's no hope for this guy." Then Stan challenged his own instructor and ended up getting into a fight with some students, which led to him being thrown out of the training center. That's when he met an old man named the Master. The Master punched a wall and made a hole in it. Stan was completely shocked. Now, if he really wanted to become strong before going to jail, learning from the Master was his only option. So he took the Master home with him, though Mandy wasn't too happy about that. On the very first day of training, the Master woke Stan up at 5 a.m. by throwing blood on his face. Then, he asked Mandy to make juices from strange animals and feed them to Stan. The Master's teaching style was totally weird. Sometimes the Master would beat Stan with burning wooden sticks, and other times he would hang him. Poor Stan was even forced to eat snakes and scorpions for meals. Mandy had enough of the Master, so she told Stan to kick him out of the house. That night, Stan staged a fake robbery at home just to make Mandy understand how weak he was. But when Mandy found out it was all an act, she got furious. She packed her things and left immediately. She didn't want to live with Stan anymore. Surprisingly, the Master was quite happy about her leaving. For the next 5 months, Stan trained nonstop with full dedication. By the end, he was strong enough to even face the Master himself. To test his skills, he went back to challenge that same martial arts teacher who had once thrown him out. Stan went to challenge the teacher, and this time, he defeated him in seconds. With that, his training was finally complete. Then the Master, along with Stan's lawyer, went to drop him off at the prison gate. Mandy still hadn't spoken to him, but she secretly came to see him from a distance. At last, Stan entered the bus with all the other prisoners, and they set off for jail. While on the bus, one man tried to tease him, so Stan beat that guy up badly right there on the bus. At the prison, they were welcomed by the warden, who clearly warned them, "Don't mess with any of the guards. If you trouble us, we'll trouble you. Do whatever you want among yourselves, but don't try to escape, or you'll get a bullet." Got it. During prisoner inspection, everyone was told to strip completely. But when Stan's turn came and the guards saw his backside, they got terrified. Later, Stan was sent to his cell, where he had to share the room with a guy named Larry. Stan scared Larry and forced him to take the bottom bunk. Later, Larry explained how the prison was divided into different gangs. The most dangerous prisoner was Big Raymond. He was infamous for abusing weaker inmates. One day, Raymond was bullying someone, and Stan openly challenged him in front of everyone. A fight broke out, and using the techniques taught by his master, Stan began taking Raymond down one move at a time. Stan broke all of Raymond's fingers during the fight. Not only did he beat Raymond badly, but he also humiliated him in front of everyone. Impressed by Stan's strength, the leader of another prison gang offered him friendship, but Stan slapped him for no reason and walked away. Later, Raymond's gang tried to attack Stan together to take revenge, but Stan enjoyed beating all of them up single-handedly. Other prisoners just stood and watched as Stan took them all down. After that, the entire prison began to fear him. Wherever he walked, inmates would clear the way. Everyone started calling him Big Stan. One day, an inmate named Robin came to thank him for saving his life from Raymond. But Stan replied, "I didn't do it for you. I did it for myself. I wasn't trying to help anyone." Later, the warden called Stan to his office and revealed that he had purposely brought Stan into his jail. The warden had plans to illegally take over all the prison land, and since Stan was an expert in real estate fraud, he wanted Stan to tamper with the paperwork and help him. In return, the warden promised to get Stan released within 1 year. Stan liked the idea and agreed to help the warden. He asked how exactly the warden planned to get the prison shut down, but the warden kept that part a secret. Meanwhile, all the prison gangs joined forces, planning to teach Stan a lesson. One day, an inmate named Butter Stan attacked him with a homemade knife crafted from a blade and a toothbrush. In return, Stan pulled out a weapon he'd made from soap and string and beat Butter Stan up too. Stan started missing his wife Mandy a lot, so he asked his lawyer about her. The lawyer said Mandy hadn't filed for divorce yet, which meant there was still hope. Stan then began doing the warden's work. That's when he met a gangster named D, who was secretly helping the warden take over the prison. Stan overheard their conversation and discovered a shocking plan. They were going to start a riot and then open fire on the inmates. The chaos would force the government to shut down the prison. Realizing how serious the situation was, Stan made up his mind. He would save the lives of all the prisoners, even if they wanted him dead. The next day, Stan gathered all the inmates and started laying down a few new rules. First, he banned all fighting movies and violent video games because they were having a bad influence on the prisoners. Then he clearly stated, "No one will force themselves on anyone here. If you want something, do it with love and mutual consent." Surprisingly, even the terrifying Big Raymond soon paired up with another inmate, and they actually made quite the couple. During lunch, Robin and a few other inmates came to thank Stan again. As always, Stan replied, "I'm just building my own reputation." But Robin knew the truth. Stan genuinely cared about the prisoners. Then, Stan received a letter from Mandy. She had forgiven him, and now she wanted to meet him again. Over the next few days, whenever a fight broke out in prison, Stan stepped in and made peace. Slowly, the entire jail turned peaceful, and everyone started living together happily. One day, Mandy came to visit Stan, and they shared some sweet moments. Meanwhile, the warden found out about all of Stan's heroic efforts. Seeing love spreading among the prisoners made him furious. He immediately sent the guards to bring Stan to his office. The warden threatened Stan, saying, "You ruined my plan. I could have you killed for this." He also warned that he could easily extend Stan's prison sentence if he wanted. The next day, Stan asked his lawyer for advice. The lawyer explained, "In this prison, no one is above the warden. If he files a full report against you, you'll never get out." Hearing this, Stan went back and told all the inmates, "Settle your own fights from now on, and forget all the rules I made. You don't have to follow me anymore." The moment Stan said that, chaos returned. Fights broke out again. Robin tried to talk to him, but Stan angrily knocked Robin's food off the table and walked away. Even Larry got upset with Stan's strange behavior. But when he tried to confront him, Stan quietly whispered, "Stay away from the barbed wire fence this afternoon." Larry realized that Stan was being forced to do something against his will. So Larry warned all the inmates, and together, they began planning something secretly. Meanwhile, the warden had arranged a meeting between Stan and a senior officer to speed up Stan's release. But in reality, the warden wanted a violent riot to break out in front of the officer. He planned to execute the chaos near the barbed wire fence during the afternoon, because that was when most prisoners usually fought. And in front of the officer, the warden planned to shoot a few inmates to create chaos and force the prison to shut down. Meanwhile, Stan pretended to be a useless prisoner during the meeting, so the officer would throw him out of the room quickly. He needed to escape and warn the other inmates about the warden's plan. But on his way out, he was stopped by Dang. Dang revealed that he too had learned to fight from the master, and in fact, he was the first student the master had ever trained. A fierce fight broke out between Stan and Dang. Dang seemed to have the upper hand at first, but in the end, Stan defeated him with an incredible move. Meanwhile, all the inmates had gathered, armed and ready. The guards were also fully prepared to open fire. But suddenly, the prisoners started dancing and singing to Mexican music. Furious, the warden lost control and started shooting wildly at them. The officers witnessed him firing on unarmed prisoners for no reason. It was now certain the warden would be going to prison himself. But before being arrested, the warden tried to kill Stan. At the last moment, Mandy jumped in and saved his life. It turned out she had also been training with the master for the past 6 months. 3 years later, Stan was released from prison. All the inmates bid him farewell. Mandy and the master came to pick him up with their 3-year-old daughter, and after that, they all lived happily ever after. So tell us, and we'll see you in the next video.